Hi, my name is Christy Alosio, and I am a counselor at Family Tree Counseling in Carmel, Indiana. I wanted to do a video today on why you may need to be more selfish. Most of the time, when you think about being selfish, you hear a lot more about people who are too selfish than maybe people who are not selfish enough. So, probably can get a lot more information on why you need to be less selfish, but I'm here to tell you why you may need to be more selfish. Um, the first thing I kind of want to put out there is if you're not selfish enough, then you are most likely codependent. You probably fit into the codependent category of being more insecure and needy and other focused and passive in relationships, as opposed to being counter-dependent. If you want to learn more about codependency, I have a video on YouTube as well that are 5 signs that you may be codependent, so you may want to visit that video too. But if you aren't selfish enough, then that usually puts you in that other-centered category. Your life focuses on other people's needs and other people's wants and what makes them happy and how you keep their life functioning well, as opposed to what you need and what is important to you. So if you fit into that and you're watching this saying, yes, yes, that's me, then please continue to watch and figure out what we can do about that. People who do not have enough selfishness tend to marry people who are overly selfish. It's just the way that people tend to fit together. If you look at a marriage, if you look at a relationship, there's only a certain amount of selfishness to go around, and if one person has a large amount, it would make sense the other person has a small amount, and vice versa. So if you're watching this and you feel like you don't take care of yourself very well, or you're too busy taking care of everybody else, you may be thinking, but my spouse is quite the opposite. They are busy meeting their own needs, taking care of their own needs, and maybe being oblivious to yours or some other people in the family. When you don't have enough to selfishness, you put your happiness and your needs being met and what you need out of life, you put it in other people's hands. Because when you're not selfish enough, it is you're not taking care of what you need. You're not taking care of yourself. You're saying, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to take care of all these other people and kind of leave myself hanging. So then I think in some aspects we then expect other people to kind of step up and to fill that role and to make us happy and to meet our needs. But again, if you go back just a minute ago, I was saying, but most likely you're married to somebody who's not very good at that. That's somebody that is much more than focused and focusing on their own needs. So people get really frustrated. People get really stuck in this position of I'm giving, I'm taking care of my kids, I'm taking care of my husband or my wife, I'm taking care of people at work, I'm doing all these things, and at the end of the day, my needs and my wants are what suffers. Those are not getting met. They're just kind of left there to hang because I don't have anybody to do that for me. Putting that control and putting that power into somebody else's hands to meet your needs and to make you happy is very dangerous, because people are not perfect and people are going to fail at that, and you're going to feel let down and unfulfilled in that area of your life. So what happens in these situations, and why I say why you need to be more selfish is because when you are not selfish enough, it does cause issues in relationships. I think sometimes people looking in from the outside say, well, look at that wonderful mother, and she just sacrifices everything for herself, and she does everything for her kids, and she takes care of her husband. That's so wonderful. And in a lot of ways that can be very affirming, but that's kind of what the outsider sees, and eventually that wears on a person. Somebody taking care of everybody else and not getting their own needs met are eventually gonna get burned out. They're gonna get burned out with taking care of other people. They're gonna get burned out with not getting their needs met, and they start to become resentful and bitter. And those are two very, very dangerous words in marriage counseling, because in my mind, they're the worst marriage killers there are. They're worse than affairs. They're worse than addictions. That resentment and bitterness will end a marriage very quickly once it gets to a certain point. And so that's why it's really dangerous to not be selfish and not to take care of yourself some, because that tends to develop in people. And bitterness and resentment is like a cancer, and it will eat a relationship alive, it'll eat a marriage alive, and after it eats that marriage alive, it'll eat you alive. So even just getting out of the relationship, it doesn't always fix it, because you're still left with, hey, I'm not getting my needs met, and things aren't feeling good to me, I'm not getting taken care of. So people get in this situation where I'm not meeting my own needs, I'm not taking care of myself, I'm married to somebody who's overly selfish, and they're kind of like, I call it like beating the brick wall. They're beating their spouse, like, meet my needs and take care of me and do this for me. I don't do it for me, I need you to do it for me. And they're not getting much of a response. And if that spouse is like the brick wall, they're beating and trying to get their needs met, but all they're doing is blooding their own hands. They're not getting through. I mean, you're not going to be able to beat through a brick wall. So if you feel like you're stuck in this situation, it's like time to say something isn't working and I need to change the way I'm dealing with my own needs in my life. So it's right now is the time to say you've got to take back your own power. You got to take back your own ability to meet your needs and to keep yourself happy, and to be a little selfish and make yourself a priority. Because if you don't make yourself a priority, other people will not. And that's one thing that you really have to be careful of, is you have to make yourself a priority. And when you aren't selfish enough, you're over here, and then there's somebody over here that is way too selfish, and imagine there's like a normal or average amount of selfishness. And what they will warn you as you start to change and you want to get to this more normal area of selfish, you're over here, you feel like you're all the way over on this one when you start to change, because you've never been selfish even in a healthy level, and you're like, this doesn't feel right, it's uncomfortable. And I always say, change is hard. If change was easy, everybody would do it. Nobody would smoke, nobody would drink, everybody would be perfectly fit, no one would eat bad food. If change was easy, everyone would do it. So you have to know that as you start to change and you become more selfish for you, that there's going to be some uncomfortableness with it. You're going to feel overly selfish. You're not going to feel okay with starting to meet some of your own needs. But I do emphasize, you are in charge of your own happiness. And if you get stuck in this place where you say, I don't even know what my own needs are because I never meet them, but then I'm expecting my spouse to meet them, but oh, did I mention I don't know what they are, so how are they supposed to know? So it is so important for you to be in touch with, what do I need? What makes me happy? I'm going to start doing those things, and you would probably be surprised at how your spouse might to change a little bit of how they meet your needs as well. One thing I will warn about when I talk about this is, I talk about this with women all the time, and I talk about it with men too. It just so happens I probably have more women in my office that are codependent than men. But, I talk about self-care. Like, no one's going to take care of you the way you take care of you. So you have to start to make yourself a priority and be a little selfish with what you need and what you want. And they run out and they come back to the next session. They're like, Christy, I got a pedicure. I took care of myself. And, that is one way to take care of yourself, and that is part of it. But I feel like when you just go out and try to do some of those physical type things, you're missing a big chunk of it. And a big chunk of it is, how do you take care of yourself emotionally? When you're tired, do you rest? When you feel like you need a break, do you take a vacation? Will you spend that little extra money to get some ice cream when you want some ice cream? Do you get a massage if you need a massage? Do you allow yourself to keep some dirty dishes in the sink because you need a break and you're tired? Those are kind of some of the being a little selfish and taking care of your things that I want you to think about. Maybe not going to one event of your child, or one Boy Scout meeting of your child. I've never had somebody sit on my couch and say I have abandonment issues from my parents because my mom missed one Cub Scout meeting or something. So you have to be realistic to say, what do I need to take care of myself? And I need to balance my taking care of my kids and my husband or my wife with what I need to take care of myself. And there's such an emotional component to that. And It's really about starting to listen to your gut, listening to your needs, and doing those things even if they're a little bit uncomfortable. So if you have been listening to this video and you're like, oh my gosh, that's me, I want to learn more, please get in contact with me. My email address is christyfamilytree@live.com. That's CHRISTY familytree@live.com. Thank you for listening.